right, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the 5 and 20 podcast by Remarkable Academic Foods. I'm your host, Joshua Miller, and today we have our guest, Greg Gargoni, and he is going to cover with us a topic that kind of blends between operations on the labor and training side of things with technology, believe it or not. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned and get some great, valuable knowledge bombs here. So, Greg has vast experience in the hospitality industry, including healthcare, restaurants, hotel, and resort management. Greg is also a former executive chef and chef instructor at Johnson and Wales University. He is an experienced coach and consultant whose goal is to improve the experience for not only employees, but also process improvement for the deskless workforce. Today, he is president and co founder of Pineapple Academy. Greg, welcome and thank you for joining us in for this episode. And to kick things off, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is your guilty pleasure food? It's a great time. We just got off the holidays, so I'm sure you had enjoyed some great
There's been a
foods.
few things. Well, first of all, Josh, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be connected with you, and I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you like this and continue our great conversations.
Thank you.
I had a really nice holiday. Thank you. I have a number of guilty pleasures, I have to say. But I'll start with, I grew up in an Italian household, and
Okay.
my Sundays were always about, at my grandmother's house. My grandmother was from Sicily. And so, and I had a number of aunts and uncles and cousins, and Sundays were like a zoo. It was just like there's kids and adults everywhere. But the one thing that we were all there to do, besides have fun and hospitality and family, was to eat my grandmother's food. And so, needless to say, spaghetti and meatballs were a big pleasure thing. And
Nice.
It was so funny over the holidays, to make meatballs from scratch and do everything the right way. It takes time and it's
Yes,
time
it
consuming.
does.
And so I was able to spend some time. I went to their nice grocery store here. I got some Italian sausage and some really nice ground beef, and I found a really nice grind that I liked. And I made meatballs from scratch, and I was trying to channel my grandmother. And I'm happy to say that I nailed it.
Nice.
I was very proud of myself. So, yeah, spaghetti and meatballs was pretty nice. That was a lot of fun to make that. So
I'm sure
there's
you
a few in my freezer too.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. When those time labor things, freeze some, right?
Yeah. So
Right.
that was really nice.
Awesome. Well, listen. So, President, co-founder Pineapple Academy.
Yeah.
Let's start off with tell us what is Pineapple Academy.
Sure. So thanks. Pineapple Academy came about 6 years ago. I've been a consultant. I was traveling around the United States and doing projects in hospitals and senior living communities. And before that, I was in the hospitality industry and did a lot of these similar type projects. But what I would go in and I would get to do assessments and see what's going on and stand in the kitchen and be with the staff and really see what's going on. And the thing you realize is the problems that you see at one location, many of those problems are replicated everywhere across the board. And it has to do with skill sets, and it has to do with time management. It has to do with the flow and the schedule. And so, when I look at an operation, not only, I see the physical aspect of it, and then I look at the products, and then I look at the tools that are in use, and then I look at the people. And so, because when you stop and think about food service, what is it? It's people, it's a facility, and it's supplies. Those three things added up equals an operation, right?
Yep.
And you have to look at it holistically. And you got to look at all of it. And so you might end up with just an amazing kitchen and dining area. You might end up with amazing food products and all that you're using and supplies that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
But then it falls flat because of the skill sets and because of the knowledge base of both managers and the frontline staff. And so, and then conversely, what's interesting is if you have a really dialed in kitchen and staff and people that are motivated, you could have a lousy kitchen and you could have mediocre food in terms of supplies and stuff like that, but you could put out amazing products, right?
True.
So it's really interesting how, some of us try to compensate by having the latest gadgets or combi ovens or this is and that's, and we're buying great food.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, but if you don't have the team there that can execute and use those tools and get the most out of it, you're sort of wasting a lot of time and money, right?
Very true.
And so what I realize is we need consistent training on the fundamentals. And so, I started out in this industry as a pot washer, literally a pot washer. And, and I was in my early 20s. I was in college trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, right? And I ended up doing pots and pans. And then I got promoted to dishwasher. And then from dishwasher, I got promoted to prep cook. And then from prep cook, I went to school. I left the school I was in and I went to Johnson & Wales because I finally identified what it is that got me excited and what I could see for my future. And so the thing you learn is it really is the fundamentals. This industry is stepping stones, right? Mm-hmm. We all have to put our time into the dish pit. We all have to do our time in getting our knife skills. We have to understand the nomenclature of food service. What do these terms mean? Is everybody talking the same language? I don't know about you, but I'll go into kitchens and I ask for a hotel pan or a half pan, 6-inch or 600 pan or whatever. They don't even know what I'm talking about.
It's foreign language.
It's a foreign language. They think, oh, you mean the soup pan?
Yeah.
Well, because the 6-inch hotel pan, half pan is what they typically put soup in on the line. They think that's a soup pan. Well, guess what? It's not a soup pan. It is a hotel pan. And so, so if you're trying to manage and lead a kitchen, then everybody has to be leveled up. Everybody has to have basics. They have to understand sanitation. They have to understand how to take care of themselves and their personal hygiene. Those are non-negotiable in a food service environment.
Absolutely.
And yet we don't spend the time to train new hires on what these things mean and why they're important. We just say, oh, you got to do it this way. Yeah. No. There's a reason why we do it this way. We're trying to keep you safe. We're trying to keep the customer safe. And we're trying to keep our coworkers safe, right? We have to start with the fundamentals. And so really, knife skills was like the kind of thing that launched this company. And so what you find is when we first started with Pineapple, we formalized it and launched it 5 years ago, December 1st, this past December 1st. So we've officially been in business now for like 5 years and 2 months. And the first thing we did was knife skills and CMS core competencies, the basic fundamentals for senior living and for hospitals initially. That was our initial markets. And so, because everybody needs to know these things to work in these spaces, whether you're the manager or you're the pot washer, there are things that everybody needs to know.
So
and so we focus on that
same song, right?
Exactly. And so that's how it started. It started out with small, a library of videos. And when I say small, I mean short videos. Because that was the other thing we realized. It's like, hey, Josh, we need you to go train on something. And we stick you in a room with a computer and you're sitting there, looking at PowerPoints and things like that for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and you're asleep by the end of it, right? Well, that's just not very productive. Right. You should be learning things on the job that are applicable to your job when you need it. Right. Absolutely. How many times have you been in a kitchen and one of your team members comes up to you and asks you a question like, chef, I need to know how to do this. You've assigned this to me. I don't know how to do it. It happens every day. And if it
Countless
doesn't
times.
happen, it's because the staff are intimidated to ask, or they feel embarrassed to ask something. So we want to make this education and knowledge should be free in the sense that it should be readily available, right? There's
Right.
nothing in food service a team member shouldn't know about if they want to know about it. But let's start with the fundamentals, the non-negotiables, and then let's focus on the job they were hired to do. Let's teach them how to do the job professionally. Just because you're an hourly staff member doing pots and pans, it doesn't mean that you can't have a professional viewpoint on doing pots and pans, because that's going to help you get to the next step.
True.
And then the next step after that, and the next step. You have to have a professional viewpoint when you look at a job, regardless of if you're sweeping the loading dock. There's a right way and a wrong way to sweep the loading dock. There's a right way and a wrong way, to prep vegetables or whatever. So let's be professional in our viewpoint. But in order to do that, we have to have our fundamentals, and we have to have the ability to learn it and watch someone else do it, and then be able to duplicate that. And so short, quick videos is really the solution to all this.
Yeah, and that leads to a term that not everyone may not know, which is micro learning, and that's
Yes.
something that I've been seeing a lot of more recently. So, why don't you give us a quick,
Sure.
what is micro learning and why
Yeah.
is it important?
So what's interesting about this is, I think we all know this intuitively, in a sense. It's like, the average length of a song is like 3.5 minutes, right? And it sticks
Right.
in our head, right? And we can remember it decades later. Same thing with short videos. I mean, look what's happened with our culture with the social media, between YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Short, snappy videos. Our brains seem to like that. And there's tons of research that has been done on this that show that if videos or presentations are too long, people slide off. So we kind of like peak off at about 5-6 minutes. Then after that, it's going in one ear and out the other. And so we built our entire platform with the premise that all videos have to be 5 minutes or less. Because think about it. If you're in a commercial kitchen, these are very active environments. It's very busy. And so to think that you're going to have to spend more than 5 or 10 minutes of learning to do something, it's a little bit unrealistic to meet those expectations. So not only is there science behind the individual watching shorter videos for better retention and understanding, but it's also just practical in the day-to-day life of what happens in the commercial kitchen.
Yeah, and I can't tell you the number of times that it's happening everywhere, all over the industry. People are coming into our kitchens. They've never picked up a knife before. They don't know those pans that you were just talking about earlier. What's a hotel pan? What's a
Right.
half pan? And I wish I could have had this solution because something as simple as salad bar prep, right? Someone's
Right.
never picked up a knife. How many different things do they need to learn in such a
That's
short
right.
period of time to be able to do that job efficiently, right?
Exactly.
And what normally happens is a chef goes over and they say, this is how you hold a knife. This is how you cut this vegetable. This is how you cut that vegetable. So,
That's right.
where if you could have a solution such as this, where it's a quick, short video that they could learn, whether it's right then and there or whether it's in
That's
office,
right.
but it's short, I think that's what I find so impressive about Pineapple Academy, which leads me to another question here, which is time of need, right? So, how is
Right.
there this time of need training that
That's right.
is discussed?
So look at it this way. So how many times have you been in your career, somebody says, "Hey, Josh, you need to go handle XYZ." And you're like, "Okay, I've maybe done it once before, or maybe I watched somebody do it."
Mm-hmm. Countless
Well,
times.
wouldn't it be nice as a confidence builder, and just to check the box, I'm going to watch a quick video before I go execute this, right? And so
Yep.
let's say I say to you, it's your day to clean and sanitize the ice machine, which
Okay.
not a lot of places clean and sanitize the ice machine, but If
Not
you
as
look
much
in the
as they
food
should.
code and you talk to the health department, they want to know that you're sanitizing that ice machine on a regular basis,
That's one of the first things I check when I walk into a kitchen
right?
is the ice
You know,
machine.
look at those gaskets, look at it, look at that. But, so how do you clean an ice machine?
Hmm.
Well, great. So there's a QR code on the side of that ice machine. You take a smartphone or a tablet, you go click on that QR code, you put in your own employee number, and you watch a quick video, shows you, okay, this is what you do to clean and sanitize an ice maker.
Wow.
So I didn't have to go to my boss and ask and feel embarrassed. I didn't have to go find anybody to tell me what to do. I'm self-sufficient now, and now I can do the job. And not only that, I just watched the video, which has now been documented that I watched the video. So from a manager's point of view, now we know that you have watched the video on how to clean and sanitize the video, the ice machine. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't watch it every time you do it. I
Right.
mean, fine. Some people need that
Need a
reinforcement.
refresher. Yeah. Yep.
Not a problem. I mean, same thing happens with me. It's like, I've been doing a lot of the stuff for years, but maybe it's been 20 years since I did something. Well, I'm going to watch a quick video on how to do it, right?
Yep.
So not only is it applicable for the new guy, right? The
Yep.
new people that are coming on board, but also our more senior people or people been around. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard both from new hires and people been around for 20 years, watch these videos and go, I completely forgot about all that. Or, gosh, this is so great that I'm relearning this. And also the new people are having to watch it too to do the same way to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And like I said earlier, singing the same song, right? I
Yep.
think that's huge. And also having the consistency. If
Yes.
what's the saying, which is if you have to do it twice, you should have an SOP for it, standard operating procedure.
100%.
And
Yeah.
this is one way where you can have that in the form of a content that is relatable to everyone, right?
Exactly.
It's not just the professionals with the jargon and that can understand quick things. You're a new person that's never walked in the kitchen before can start to
Right.
grasp these things quickly.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, we take the approach you don't know anything.
Yep.
And so we try to present it in a respectful way that doesn't judge you. It's not, assuming anything, and it's okay just to be, just to listen. And if you already know the information, great. Get through it and go to the next one. Because at some point the education is going to catch up to your base of knowledge, what your fundamentals are, where you're at.
Yeah.
And so it, these are building blocks,
Yeah.
right? And refreshers are always good, but as importantly, it just gets everybody speaking the same language, because once everybody's seen the same video on how something's supposed to be done, then that becomes SOP, and now there's no conflict. There's no, the night shift goes, oh, the morning guys aren't doing it right, or the person to my right is doing it wrong, and the guy on the left is doing it right. Well, guess what?
Everyone,
Now nobody's
everywhere.
right. It's just in the video. And whether it's our video or you shoot your own video and upload it, doesn't matter. You're creating what I call brand standards, or as you said, SOPs for that operation. And that's what's so important.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the key things there is, like you said, everyone has their ceiling where in terms of education of how to do something, how to run a station, how to
Right.
run an operation specifically. Now, you may be a great chef. You may know like all the cooking techniques and
Yep.
preparations and all that. But what is key here is that every operation has their little nuances, right? And
Yes.
that's where you start to create site specific content or company specific content
That's
that
correct.
they're not going to know. They know all this great stuff from the technicality standpoint, but from your actual company or your actual brand, your dining program, what is specific to there that they may not know coming in off the street, right?
That's exactly correct. It's so important to have brand standards. I don't care if it's a hot dog stand or a fine dining white, tablecloth dining room in the city. Everything has a brand standard. You have to have that consistency, and it needs to be a repeatable action, and it needs to be able to be shown,
Yeah.
and so that people aren't confused by the direction. The other thing that I would throw out to you is, there's a big situation going on in this industry, in the food service and hospitality industry. There's just not enough employees.
I
And
haven't noticed.
so, and that's not going to change. I hate to be the person delivering this message to you. If those of you aren't aware of what's going on with demographics in this
Hmm.
country, guess what? We're getting old. And so it is what it is. And so we have to understand that in order to be successful and continue to progress in this industry, we have to increase productivity.
Hmm.
And managers, particularly over the last, like, say, 4 years or so, have increasingly had to do task work rather than do the job of managing. And so what does that mean? It means we're not getting knowledge transfer to the people that are coming in. And so you got managers running around, doing dishes or plating or serving or
Hmm.
doing, line work, which you have to do. I mean, when it happens, that's just the fact of the matter. But what aren't you doing? You're not training your team. And
Hmm.
so it's problematic. And then, of course, you run into this downward spiral with the managers getting more and more stressed out. The managers there's more and more burden. And the next thing you know, they're grumpy, they're quitting. There's conflict between the manager and the staff. And
Hmm.
it's not anything other than stress and the ability to transfer knowledge. And so by having these quick, simple, effective, short videos that you can, assign to people and have an onboarding process and ongoing training, whether it's from a third party, company like Pineapple Academy, or you shoot your own and let our platform manage it for you. It doesn't matter. The point is, everybody then can start seeing this stuff, and now the managers can then see productivity start to go up by the staff, and they can start moving up the organization too, to do more of their job and what they were supposed to do in the first place.
Absolutely. And for, some people might be listening and may say, we already have a learning management system or LMS,
Right.
not really getting into that too much, but, what would you have to say for, those individuals, those managers or those directors that are saying, we already have
Sure.
something, we don't need this.
Right. I think the first thing I would say is, what's your engagement level?
Yeah.
How many hours of training are people are doing a month on this? What we tell people is, like, give us 15 minutes a week,
Hmm.
20 minutes a week, and so, that's like 5 minutes a day that you just watch a video. By the end of the month, you're picking up another hour and a half of training content, right? That's assigned.
Hmm.
But then if you use the QR codes, which are trackable, by the way, these QR codes are unique. This is not your typical QR code that you see, in restaurants and things like that, to look at a menu, that kind of stuff. These
Hmm.
are trackable QR codes that you have to put an employee code in to go in and watch it and track it. So it's not the same thing, and they have to be
Yeah.
hosted. But this way, if you're the manager or you're the chef, and you have, let's just say it's Josh's meatloaf, and you're frustrated because every time, you have to retrain everybody how to make Josh's meatloaf. Well, guess what, Josh? You shoot a video on how to make your meatloaf step by step. Then you assign it, and now everybody has it. Now the excuses are gone,
Yeah.
and say, hey guys, the meatloaf was a flunk today. Everybody's going to watch this video again. And then pretty soon it's like, that's just your SOP, and things just get better and better and better, day after day, week after week, month after month. It takes work, but you run a program like this for 6 months, you're going to see a noticeable change in communication, and the stress levels will come down, and people's competencies and productivity will go up.
Love it. Love everything about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Greg. And just in case people want to learn more, how can they connect with you and learn more about you and what Pineapple Academy is doing?
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. So our website is pineappleacademy.com. If you want more information, it's info@pineappleacademy.com. And if you want to write to me directly, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very, easily to find on LinkedIn, but my email address is greg@pineappleacademy.com. And I love to hear from people in any way I can help them.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on for this show. And
Thank
you
you.
are, as everyone that is listening, a remarkable academic food ambassador. You are helping to improve that industry, the workforce. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, all the listeners,
Thank
for
you,
everything
Josh.
that you're doing day in and day out. This is your host, Joshua Miller, and our guest, Greg. Until next time, for me, signing off.